They still all feel squeaky clean. Squeaky queen. Put that one at the start. What's up, anime aficionados, and welcome to the A-Pod, an anime podcast hosted by us, two A-holes. I'm Zunt, this is Jackson, and this is our boy Arnold. Before we get too into the pod this week, you guys may have noticed something different, something a little flash for us. We got microphones, baby. They're certainly not just Funkos attached to a grip with zip-tied microphones on the back. They are full legitness.
Custom as fuck.
Custom AF.
Yes. To the fact, even to the point where Funko basically sent us out pops to be able to make them. So shout out to Funko.
Yeah, like we purchased them, but they sent them to the shops where we purchased them from.
Exactly. So if you'll get Funko.
Yeah, so not sponsored, but almost.
Please pre our money that we gave you.
Yeah, pre. This is our first React series. This series we're looking at Fire Force episode 8. This episode is called Infernal Insects. But I guess before we get too into it, we probably need to catch up with what's happened so far.
So last week, pretty much, just a bit of a recap. After Habana got one punched by Shinra the week before, she's now good, it seems. And Company 5 and 8 have a bit of an alliance going on. Mostly Habana and Company 8. The rest of Company 5 is not really involved. Shinra and Arthur become part of Company 1 under the rookie training reassignment system. So they basically have gone into Company 1 now to, I guess, sort of learn underneath them how they sort of operate. We get a bit of a look at Company 1 and some of their lieutenants and some of the people within Company 1. And then basically we get to see a really overpowered Burns kick the shit out of Shinra and Arthur in a bit of a training run. So yeah, we get to see a bit of how much better Burns is than everyone else.
I mean, it wasn't like a super duper content heavy episode, but it was a good episode. We got to meet, like I said, those other lieutenants who are Lieutenant Priest from Company 1. I did think we only really got to see Kareim Flam's ability. He, like we said last week, is not from Fire Force, he's from Cold Force, but kind of cool. And the fight was kind of cool. But anyways, I'm now sidetracking. Let's get into this week's episode.
Yeah, this week it's a mixed bag of information heavy and not a lot of action, but it seems like it's very important to the story. Just a bit of a flash for this week. We get our first
real time skip,
which is amazing. We've now gone from being up to day 8 to day 13, which is just insane.
Crazy. This is nearly twice as far into the series as we were before. If this was Naruto, he wouldn't be coming back as a teenager to the Hidden Leaf. He'd be coming back as a 30-year-old.
Literally, I was assuming that after the time skip, we were going to see a much older, bearded Shinra, maybe with a kid or two. But we didn't see that. So, But first time skip, amazing.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So a little synopsis for the episode, and I'll read it from Crunchyroll on the monitor here. Not sponsored yet, but we do hear that Crunchyroll they're asking for us. Anyway, so Obi goes over Habana's research. Learns that all the artificially created infernals that she dissected had traces of insect DNA in them. So Shinra and Arthur's investigation at the first continues, and they finally get their first lead on a culprit. So that's a rundown of the episode. And yeah, I guess the place we have to start is the insects. So basically, Habana in her research, she finds out that all of the infernals that had compromised cores all seem like they've been penetrated by something. Their core had been penetrated, just their core.
Yeah, she said something had forcefully made its way in. So
again, to the core. Didn't penetrate anything else, just the core.
Yeah, get your head out of the gutter.
Yeah, come on.
I'm talking about Tamaki or something like that at the moment.
And she found that within all those corrupted cores, there was insect DNA.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, she actually did some good work on her research. Well done, her. But yeah, that was like a pretty key bit of information. The fact that she had discovered that specifically that it was an insect that was causing this like man-made infernalization. And yeah, it was a pretty big bit of information. She was discussing this with Obi, and I think Takeshi was in the room, but wasn't really involved in anything at all.
No, he was just there in case someone needed to be disciplined.
Probably just brooding in the corner, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, like that was a pretty big start to the episode.
Yeah, and her claims are substantiated as well. Like shortly after, we get an alert in Company 1 for an Infernal. We go to the fire scene. It's not just one Infernal, it's 5. Also, really important to keep count of the Infernals, because in a minute we'll talk about how much Infernal action there was in this episode.
Yeah,
so right now we're up to 5 Infernals. And basically while they're there, Shinra sees his Spidey senses go up.
Yeah.
Shinra now has Spidey senses, but they're only located at his ankles.
Yeah.
And yeah, we see
basically. Which I'm wondering, the freeness of his feet and everything like that may allow for this heightened Spidey sense. So I'm wondering if a lot of the other third gens, if they exposed a bit more, might.
Oh, like if Captain Burnseye took off his eye patch.
Yeah, maybe. He might also have Spidey senses, although
he might have depth perception as well.
Although Tamaki's basically not wearing anything, so like surely she'd be getting.
Oh, she must be perceiving. Yeah, she's gonna be perceiving everything.
Fucking from her head to her toe, pretty much.
But yeah, we then see a hand reach out from behind a wall, place a little jar with a bug in it, and that bug crawls into a person, and yeah, compromises their core, and they go infernal. So. Yeah. Hibana was on it. She smashed it. Good research, Hibana.
Well done. Yeah, we do have to mention at this stage when all this happened, basically Shinra and Arthur were sidelined by Kareim Flam. I do have to make note, I'm not sure, given the timeline of Fire Force that we're, 13 days in, was Company 8 made 13 days ago, which is why there's only like 6 of them? Or... yeah, I'm not sure, because there's probably like 100 people in Company 1, but like only 6 people in Company 8. Like there's like a substantial difference between the personnel numbers of one and the other. But yeah, so Kareim Flam didn't want Shinra and Arthur to be involved, and this is when they were able to witness this unfolding basically right in front of them.
Yeah.
I do have to quickly mention Shinra goes quickly on the chase to try and find the culprit that did it. He does do what seems to be a really roundabout way of flying down an alleyway instead of just going directly down the alleyway.
It does scream the train platform from episode 1, the elaborate 200-meter route he took to swoop up Iris.
The heroics that he displays in this episode, just in that instance alone, are some of the best I've seen. Arthur does question whether or not they should deal with the Infernal, and Shinra says that they don't have time. To which Arthur basically has to run directly past the Infernal, almost like, when you're walking down a narrow hallway and you kind of have to turn to not run into the person next to you. It was basically the level of him having to go around this Infernal to get down the hallway, whilst he just didn't pull out his sword, and even if he used the back of the flat of the blade, surely that would have done something.
Yeah, because the Infernal, they weren't raging or anything, it was kind of like stumbling, so I do suspect that they could have dealt with it. But yeah, I guess also remember we're up to 6 Infernals now.
Yeah, so there's too much to handle. But yeah, pretty much Shinra goes down the alleyway, basically says something along the lines that no one can get from him because he's way too fast. To which he comes storming around the corner, and we see Lieutenant Rekka and Lieutenant Flam both in there. So I guess at this point in time, both Shinra and Arthur are raising a lot of questions as to, who was involved and who basically created this man-made Infernal.
And then that kind of sparks an investigation by the pair of them, which I just find it so ballsy that Obi thought that Arthur, of all people, would be capable enough of being low key and investigating some issue because he wasn't too dumb in this episode, but fuck, he's still dumb.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess, nothing against Shinra, but putting those two in charge would be like, the Scooby Gang basically saying that Scooby and Shaggy have to run point, and they've got to do all the investigation, all the science stuff, and that Velma and the rest of them just sit on the side. Like,
yeah, eating Scooby snacks.
It doesn't seem like they don't seem like the two best first options for that. But yeah, I mean, eventually they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah,
maybe.
But yeah, they start their investigation in Kareim Flam's room, and Arthur he's got his shitty Excalibur, but he also has like mini Excaliburs made of plastic that he sends plasma through, and he uses them for like cutting through like locks and stuff. Worth noting, mini Excaliburs don't have a mini sheath, so it's just the big Excalibur that has a sheath.
We also have to mention the fact that Arthur trying to be incognito dressed as an assassin, to which Shinra asked him like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm an assassin now. And he's like, after all that shit about being a knight. To which he pulls off his hood and he's like, still a knight. So once again, we experience the fact that Arthur is a dumb fuck. And I actually think that at some point in this series, if Shinra doesn't get a brain aneurysm from having to deal with Arthur's bullshit, he must be much stronger than the rest of us. Because I'm pretty sure Zunt is like,
my mental fortitude is slipping.
Yeah. So yeah, they basically break in to Flam's like quarters.
Very low key for their investigation.
Yes, and then once again, Arthur does what Arthur does best and creates another cut in a locked drawer, which now can never be locked again. To which the boys find a jar of one of the infernal insects.
Yeah. Now, he did give an explanation as to how he got the insect. It was from a fire scene where children went infernal, sort of thing, and he found it. But still I just do find it interesting that he has the insect, and that he's had it for so long, and that he's not reported it or escalated it. So it sort of paints this picture of, is he involved? He basically says that, I suspect it's Wrecker.
Yeah.
But also doesn't justify, I think, very well that he's not involved.
Yeah, it kind of seems like maybe the whole infernal insects, because there's so much spotlight on Company 1 right now, whether or not it's actually a lot of this is like in the chain of command sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
it might not, it doesn't seem like it could just be Wrecker involved. Like, is it all the lieutenants and Captain Burns? Like, obviously we saw in last week when they found out that the two boys were coming like straight at the start of the episode, Company 1 was fully aware that they were being investigated by Company 8. So it just seems like it's a bit like shady, even though he's given like an excuse that he thinks it's Wrecker and that, he's trying to prove his non-involvement. It kind of seems like in the background he might be.
Yeah, it just seems like too much to have. It would have been different if they just broke into his room and he caught them and he was like, you must be investigating the same lead that I am, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that he had the insect flags to me.
It's like every time you're trying to tell a lie, usually when you tell a lie, you like over-explain the lie.
Yeah.
And that's when you know it's a lie. It kind of seems like one of those situations where if he generally had no involvement, it would just been really quick to the point. But it seemed like he was given too much information, and that it just raised a lot of questions that, there must be something going on in the hierarchy. I also wondered as well, if he wasn't going to report it to, say, Burns or the other lieutenants because he was worried about their involvement, what's the hierarchy like above all the companies? Like the governing body of Fire Force. Like, is there a governing body? What involvement do they have with the individual companies? It's a bit confusing or a bit grey at this stage, like what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. One thing though that I'm so on the fence with Kareim Flam, like if he's involved, if he's not involved. The only thing to me that sort of says that no, he's probably not, or not in that capacity, is like Company One, their grounds and that stuff are still squeaky clean, and they have no issue with Takahisha or Habana being on the grounds. I can't tell if it's like a systemic top-down thing or if it is like a side thing and the top of Company One doesn't know or they don't know exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we do see later on in the episode, towards the end, Tamaki, straight up mentioning that she was aware of man-made Infernal. So, like, obviously,
that information circulated through Company
that
One.
information must be public knowledge. But maybe Kareim Flam's investigation of who's doing it, quote unquote, is obviously not public knowledge.
There was also one little scene, like a little throwaway scene of Flam looking at like a photo, going like, "Rekka, what are you doing?" Again, that's not for Arthur or Shinra. That's just for the viewer in exposition. So, like, is that saying, he isn't involved and he doesn't know why Rekka is involved? Or, Jackson, you had a good theory of he is involved, but Rekka isn't sticking to the plan.
Yeah, because we see right at the start of the episode, one of the lieutenants is in a phone booth, which obviously we now know it is Rekka. But he talks about, one mentions infernalization, and then he's talking about evangelist. So obviously there is like a group looking to use the infernal insects and everything like that. So I was thinking more when he was looking at this photo and saying that maybe he was alluding to the fact that, like, what are you doing, Rekka? This isn't part of the plan.
Yeah.
Not like, what are you doing?
Yeah, this isn't fire/cold force. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they definitely don't do that shit in Cold Force.
No, Cold Force is way more square than that.
Fuck yeah, dog.
But yeah, so that's basically where Arthur and Shinra's investigation leads to, and then sort of there must be like a group of Company One members sort of preparing to investigate Rekka or go find Rekka. And Shinra and Arthur basically like, we're going to come with you. And Rekka's like, no.
Not Flam.
Not Rekka, sorry, Flam. Flam's like, no, this is Company One's orders, whatever. And then they go, well, we don't report to Company One. We report to you, Flam. And he goes, all right, well, then no, you're not coming. And then they go, well, we don't report to you, Flam. We report to Company 8. So, like, there was...
I think they were trying to do to Flam what Flam does to everyone else. Because you know how Flam does his, like, white boy rapper sort of rhyming? I think they tried to, like, invert that back on him and sort of confuse him a little bit. Which I do think it got to him in the end. He was a bit like, yeah, you do you, boo, and I'll do moo.
Yeah, moo.
Appree.
Well, yeah, like at the end, he was like, all right, well, feel free to investigate. So clearly the reverse psychology
I actually
worked.
think his exact words were, feel free to feel
free. Yeah, feel free to feel free. So, yeah, they then go out looking for Rekka, and that leads to Arthur. Not Arthur. Arthur can't fly unless he's riding Shinra.
I think Arthur might have gone to sleep. We're not sure.
100% Arthur went to sleep. Leads to Shinra flying through the air, and then once again his Spidey senses kick in. And he sort of zones in on this building where Rekka currently is, and he is currently using the infernal insects, and he's saying, like, it's to find a host for the pilot light.
Yeah.
So he first does it on like a mum or something like that, and she goes infernal. Note, that's the 7th infernal for the episode. And basically she goes infernal, dies. Prior to this, he's choked out Tamaki.
Yeah, so Tamaki's basically been the unknown accomplice in this whole thing. She did earlier on, you do see she almost like recruits 2 young boys to be like, hey, if you come with me, we'll go to a prayer session that will basically save you from the fire, or like, stop the fire from getting you. So like, she's obviously unawares of what's going on. Yeah. She's really under the thumb of Rekka.
Yeah, just also quick little thing for all you kids out there. If a nice lady comes up to you onto the street and goes, hey, come with me to a prayer session that will save your soul, No, leave that alone.
No, just don't actually. Nothing against religion, but just don't go to prayer sessions.
Yeah. Don't go to prayer sessions, and don't go with strangers onto the street.
Watch anime.
Watch anime. Come on, a pre. So basically, Rekka asks Tamaki before he infernalizes this lady to step outside, and Tamaki's like, "I want to hear the prayer that saves the soul." So he goes, "Cool, I'll just choke you out." So
he basically just has such a I guess from what you've seen from Rekka in the last episode, he just has such an energy. He's just fucking bricked up for everything in life.
Yeah.
And he was so bricked up that Tamaki wanted to stay that he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna come in and give you a big hug," unknown to Tamaki that he was basically just choking her out.
Yeah. But anyways, Tamaki comes to after seeing this lady's been infernalized. That's when she mentions about so you're the one creating infernals, blah blah blah. To which Rekka beats the shit out of her. And then he goes to infernalize one of the children who doesn't become infernal. So yeah, basically the kid's will is strong enough or something to that degree or compatible with the pilot light. I think this is where I was circling to before I forgot. He's trying to find a host for the pilot light. We don't know what the pilot light is exactly.
We're not sure exactly what he's referring to, but I guess it kind of seems like it's alluding to people that are able to withstand the infernal insect and basically take it on. And it looks like the kid basically gains the ability of a pyrokinetic. We don't see him do anything, but his eyes glow like most of the other pyrokinetics when they do something. So I'm not sure if that's what the host of the pilot's referring to.
Yeah.
And I guess earlier in the episode, when they did mention infernalization a couple of times, even Hibana in her conversation with Obi mentioned infernalization. And maybe that is the plan of the evangelist. We're not 100% sure yet. We've not really got any more information than that. But yeah, the kid was able to withstand the infernal insect and from what it appears became a pyrokinetic.
Which, can I just say, I'm pretty sure two very handsome anime podcasters called pyrokinetics, not necessarily, being born, maybe they got made.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether we may need to rechange the name of the A-Pod to something like the A-Pod, to conspiracy theorists that just fucking kick the shit out of your theories.
Keep nailing it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we had that theory on camera, and it wasn't an off-camera thing. If it was on camera, just put it here.
A theory sort of popped in my head. If they can, if they have the ability to do man-made infernals, do they now have the ability to sort of synthesize the ability to give someone pyrokinetic ability? Yes, but my name may or may not be Jackson Holmes, and this is Holmes, and this is Arnold Holmes. And much like Sherlock Holmes, we just solve shit.
We solve shit. But I guess that leads into your theory about old Captain Burnseye.
Yeah, because Captain Burnseye is an older gentleman, and I guess my thought process around the generational pyrokinetics is that, when they say third, it's like the third generation, so the third lot of young people
born
coming through. And the fact that Captain Burnseye is a 50-year-old male and is a third generation, raised a lot of questions with me. And I generally, after finding this out, I'm like, that's how he became pyrokinetic. Clearly, he was a host for the pilot light. Yeah, because he was if he's a third generation, he was like the first third generation, well and truly, you would have to say almost 35, 40 years in front of the rest of the third generation.
Yeah. And I guess as well, Burns potentially being a man-made pyrokinetic does kind of tie in a little bit into Company 1, being involved in these man-made infernals, not necessarily just rogue people within Company 1. I feel like Burns would have been of an age when he was made into a pyrokinetic, that he would have known what was happening, and now he's like placed himself at the top of Company 1 and is sort of working down the stream of Company 1 to follow whatever this evangelist mission is.
Yeah, so I guess I'm wondering whether or not the evangelists are kind of like, to the degree of like Magneto with mutants sort of thing, like he is very pro-mutant and anti-human, whether the evangelists are basically like trying to create more pyrokinetics, and you know, they deem pyrokinetics as the superior race to humans sort of thing, and whether they're going to try and make humans subservient. Something along those lines. It's a wild conspiracy theory, but I guess at this point in time, we've nailed everything else, so it could be right.
Yeah, and why not? Like, we could just get wild with our theories, because if we keep them too almost logical, we'll probably nail it, and then it's not fun anymore. So
yeah, the wilder they are, probably the better at this point. But yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like maybe that's deep down, that's what Company 1's objectives are, is possibly they're tied in with these evangelists and they're trying to create more pyrokinetics, because I guess we've never actually been given an explanation as to whether pyrokinetic is like born, whether, you know, they have to be born from parents that are pyrokinetics or whatever that is. Like, because of the pacing of this anime, we basically have like bugger all information, and we just get like drip fed bits and pieces instead of being given like quite an in-depth idea on how it all works.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, episode by this point is nearly done. Rekka goes back to Tamaki to finish the job, and that's when our boy Shinra comes from above in the fashion of a true hero.
He sees Tamaki's fire pussy signal that she shoots up through the roof of this old building.
Yeah, oh, and can I mention as well, Tamaki did that other very cool technique that we haven't seen in this series before. It was the summoning technique, the same one that Sakura used to summon Naruto to the village when Pain was destroying it. She summoned Shinra. So, but yeah, Shinra comes and just absolutely curb stomps Rekka. And that's pretty much how we end the episode. So I did, as you guys would have noticed, if you've listened this far, I did count 7 Infernals this episode. Do you know how many Infernals we saw people fight against? 0.
Total screen time of Infernals, I think, all about 3 seconds.
Yep, just a big fat goose egg for Infernal action.
Yeah, so if we had to rate this episode with regards to Shuriken on the action involved, you'd probably give it a quarter of a shuriken at best.
It's not a lot.
I mean, Shinra coming down from above and curb stomping Rekka, that was 5 shuriken just in that sequence. It was quite a good like animation. I thought the fact that he just fucking stomped the shit out of him was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the rest of the action in this, quarter of a shuriken at best.
Before we sum up, because we didn't put our timer on, but you might have heard me clicking my stopwatch before. That's what it was, to try to figure out how long we've been going for, which is like 20 minutes plus something.
We're trying to enhance your viewing experience by not making your viewing experience the longest experience of your life.
But I do really quickly want to mention 2 things. First off, Shinra is getting painted more and more as a devil as each episode goes on, but like a heroic devil. I just find that interesting. Like when he came into the building to save Tamaki, it was a very like devilish sort of pose in the air, and I think it was like the red eyes, the sort of the flame, and the shape of wings.
It's very much the image of what you'd expect from a villain.
Yeah.
And even when he was stomping Rekka, like his like usual like grin was on and everything like that, which I don't understand why it would be on, because he's not like in an awkward moment, or maybe he was feeling awkward about or Rekka. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe, or he's just like stressed about it, or maybe because Tamaki does have that sort of condition. I don't know, she might have slipped the boob out or something, who knows. He might have seen it.
Yeah, the fire pussy could be throwing him off, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah, so I thought that's just like worth knowing. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was like just the animation in this episode. was so like, with the exception of Shinra curb stomping Rekka and a few of the people going infernal, or fighting the infernal and becoming pyrokinetic. It was a really lazy episode for animation. Like, there were scenes where it looked like the animator was drawing it with their left hand for a bit of a laugh.
It kind of seemed like maybe if they usually have like 5 animators on each episode, 3 of them were sick and one of them had to look after their child. So there's really only one person doing it. So like, you know what? I need to try and save as much time as possible and put in minimum effort. So I'm going to put a bit of effort into some small scenes, and the rest of it is just going to be a lot of stills, no moving parts to it, just sound going over the top.
But even some of the moving scenes, like, it really looked like it was drawn in Microsoft Paint. Like, I don't know. I'm into this anime and their story. I just wish that, like, they just had a little more effort in animating. Like, they do put a lot of effort into animation of the big things. And I don't think they need animation, like, a lot of effort for the animation of the little things. Like, I'm still happy for them to be, like, still characters with, sound going over it. But, like, just the middle of the road things, like, they need to still at least put in a bit of effort. And that's,
like,
it just turned me off a little bit.
Yeah, like, they're not animating Pokemon here. Like, you need to put a bit more effort in. Like, it's easy enough to basically just draw a round object, put some ears on it, and maybe, like, a couple of markings. And there you go. You got a Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Yeah. Like, come on. I guess when you look at Fire Force, though, like, their animation style probably isn't as in-depth as what you'd see from other animations. But yeah, like, at times it really does lack a degree of effort, you could say.
Yeah, like, the animation in the drawing doesn't feel crisp. It just feels lazy, and I just really wish that it was a crisp animation, or at least like a tight animation. And I think that would, for me, not that I'm not drawing. I do like this show, but I think it would pull me in just a little more, make it feel a bit more immersive.
Yeah. Another thing I have to mention about the anime so far is, like, it's kind of almost to a degree annoying me how quickly it's moving.
Yeah.
The fact that in this episode, not only did they suspect someone from Company 1 of basically using infernal insects to make man-made infernals, they figured out who it was, and basically Shinra stopped them all within one episode, which seems like it should be more than one episode's worth of, like, actual, like, content and everything like that. It should be a couple. Like, you think that it'd be at least one episode to get it started. The next episode they may suspect someone. The episode after that, it could confirm that, and then the episode following that, then they'll actually confront that person. And again, we had Scooby and Shaggy on the case. I didn't think that they were going to fucking get down to it straight away.
But, like, even like this episode itself just had so many opportunities to move it over, like, 2 episodes at least. Like, we had 7 infernal incidents that didn't have any, like, contact with our characters.
And I mean, like, the infernals are a key part to this TV show, this anime, and we've only seen one infernal fight, pretty much, because the first interaction we had with an infernal wasn't really a fight. It was literally that second infernal in episode 1, and then Miyamoto. So we've really only had 2, like, action sequences with infernals. Yeah. And the show seems to be based around, like, infernals and infernalization and everything like that.
Yeah, it feels like, I mean, it's like the way that, like, Naruto not very quickly, over a course of time, went from being ninjas versus ninjas to ninjas versus aliens to human aliens versus aliens, if you follow the Boruto series. But that took time. And we have so quickly gone from fire soldiers versus infernals to fire soldiers versus fire soldiers within 13 days in world and 8 episodes for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Just would like it paced. They just need, ease off a bit.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether or not just the creators of Fire Force are like, oh, you're given a 3-season budget, you got to squeeze your whole
Yeah,
like
get it in
anime
now.
in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So they're just like, fuck it, let's just go balls to the wall and get this shit done. Like, we can condense 5 episodes into one. No worries.
Yeah. Anyways, we probably shouldn't keep going, or else viewer retention is going to go from 3 to 0. So let's sum this up. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'll be interested to see where it goes next week. Whether you know it's going to be 2 days have gone and there's been like no investigation into Rekka, or whether it's going to basically where the episode finished, we're going to start back next week and Shinra didn't defeat Rekka in one go. Who knows? I'm interested to see where it goes, but it's really hard to tell what could happen at this point in time because the show is just so like fucking over the top with its pacing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd ask you, Arnold, but you never seem to contribute. You just sit here and look so goddamn good. But I guess all I'll add is like, comment, and subscribe. Yep, still no song. Oh, thanks.
Oh, I pray.